And I go back and I look and I run into their picture or their name and realize that it's somebody who's been in contact with me for a while. I have to worry about stalkers. I have to sort through every person to try to figure out if they're a stalker of one of these Natalie Bollinger groups or somebody who actually wants to help. Girl Interrupted is just a stalker. All of the people who stalked me very specifically over women. Very specifically, 3 women who stalked me. The first one was Kristin Keppler. Back in high school, her and a woman named Amanda DeMette were both friends of my sister's who didn't come over to see my sister. They both came over because they had big old crushes on me. I had a few people tell me that Kristin Keppler was psycho and she has a big old crush on me. She had a shrine to me in her locker with pictures of me that she had taken of me. And, of course, I wrote for the chapel newsletter, the Buffalo Chip. That's the school newsletter at the time when we were the Chapel Buffaloes, not Creek Valley Storm. But I did have to be worried. I absolutely did. When she was talking about shooting other girls at school if I talked to them. She's a farm girl. Yeah, she probably does have access to firearms. It's fucking Nebraska, and she lives out on a farm. Yeah, she probably does have access to a fucking shotgun. So yes, that is a very real fear. Now, I really liked Kristin Keppler. Her and Amanda DeMette would come over, and they'd come hang out with me. And then my sister would complain to my mom that her friends were coming over to hang out with me, and my mom would complain to me, like, I didn't choose it. What do you want me to do? Tell Kristin Keppler she can't say hello? Tell Kristin Keppler that she can't be friends with us both? Well, they're your sister's friends. Yeah, and my sister's friends complain to me because they're going through puberty and Tara's still crawling around on all fours wanting to play like she's a dog or a unicorn. Yeah, they don't really have much in common with Tara, Mom. Kristin Keppler, yeah, we know she's over here because she got a crush on me. We know that Amanda DeMette comes over because she's got a crush on me. And Kristin Keppler, my mom, she was like, she's really nice. From what I know of her, she's really nice. And I was going to ask her out. Then she was talking about shooting people, and she was, all right, so out my window, I'm on the second floor of my mom's house at 890 1st Street in Chapel, Nebraska. And I'm in high school. I'm like 15, maybe 16. And Kristin Keppler's got this, a Chevy Malibu? And it's this old 1970s clunker thing, and she's driving through the alley. Yes, I can hear it. My stepdad at the time, his name is Michael Scott Wade. He's got a dog named Typhlo, stands for tear your fucking leg off. So I hear the dog barking, and I look out the window, and there's Kristin Keppler leaning across going, shh, 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 shh. Yeah, Ty is not going to respond well to that. As far as Ty is concerned, you're antagonizing her by sticking your face out the window at her. And mind you, the way that she came through there, she was going the wrong way through the alley. Well, the right way if you're coming off of the viaduct. But she had to lean across and roll down her passenger window to try to get the dog to be quiet. That's how I knew she was outside. Now, I have seen Kristin Keppler since Natalie's death. She looked at me in such a horrible fashion, and I would expect nothing less. Kristin Keppler was my first real stalker. I'm not talking about stalkers like these internet nut jobs that come at me because they've been lied to. I'm talking about a A young woman who thought she was in love with me, thought I was the best thing since sliced fucking bread. She even had a see-through purse that had all of the articles that I wrote for the Buffalo Chip lining the inside of the purse. Now, she really liked me, and I've had people tell me when it came to Kristin Keppler, hey, dude, you know what? If you marry your stalker, you'll never have a problem a day in your life. And I thought to myself, that is about the most fucking crazy line of thinking ever. Well, she was not my first stalker. She was my first has a crush on me and won't take no for an answer stalker. Gets jealous if another woman talks to me stalker. Threatens to kill people for talking to me kind of stalker. Driving by my house late at night kind of stalker. Has a shrine to me in her locker at school kind of stalker. Kristin Keppler was, I want to say, a year or two younger than me. So she wasn't, that's not true. I think she was only a year younger than me because I do believe we might have had some classes together in high school. Now here's the thing about Kristin Keppler. That was Chapel, Nebraska, and I left that shithole behind me many years ago with the intent of never going back because it's a fucking shithole. All the people I knew that stayed in Chapel, Nebraska, eventually they just get that humdrum frame of mind, or they just hate everybody, or they got nothing better to do with their time than to talk shit about what everybody else in town's doing, whether they're doing anything or not. Now let's move on to my second stalker, my second real stalker. Now I want you to pay attention to something. There's bias against men. And also this bias that women would never do such a thing. That bias that a woman would never do such a thing results in women getting away with killing literally hundreds of children here in the United States. One nurse alone killed over 200 people. Another killed over 400. The ones that we really push are the males who do it. Male nurses. That's right. As far as occupations for murder goes, you will find more serial killers who are nurses than any other occupation. And the primary culprits, female nurses. Men who just want to kill something are likely to do it physically. Women who just want to kill something are more likely to do it chemically, or to convince others to do it for them. That's one of the things Jim Haith in Chapel, Nebraska. He helped to cover up a murder, but he was also having sex with the lady who killed her husband. Because Jim Haith fucked that case up so much, the FBI said you're not allowed to investigate any more murders in your county. You have to call us. Rightly so. Now, who's my second stalker? All right, so I was down in Boulder, Colorado. I'm probably, I want to say it was 2009 or so. I went homeless in Boulder for a second time, and this is when I decided, I'm going to pass out blankets. I'm going to walk people to wherever it is they can go so they don't freeze to death. Try to have an actual relationship with my older brother. Some of y'all can't handle the word relationship. When you hear the word relationship, you assume sexual or boyfriend, girlfriend. No, there's a lot of different types of relationships. You have a relationship with everybody in your family, or a complete lack thereof. So I moved to Boulder, Colorado, 2019. And I don't want to say it was the first year. I think it might have been a year or two later. There was a little 15-year-old Hispanic woman by the name of Briana Hernandez. It's Briana Hernandez Cordona, so I'm assuming she's married now, but I really didn't know. What I did know is that I was homeless, and it was my job and duty to try to keep people safe, myself included. I have to live in that community. I have to live with those homeless people. And I also have to live with the public opinion created. If one of those child molesters that you let out of prison, mind you, he was probably in prison for molesting his own daughter. When he's released, what happens? He goes to a halfway house and then gets dumped on the streets. When I hear about men's only services, there are none. None of these services are men only. The halfway houses that they have for felons, those aren't men only. They have those for women too. They have to. It's part of the DOJ, Department of Justice, and the deal that they made with the American people and the federal government to not just drop child molesters out on our streets. No, we give them a little bit of leeway and a little playtime first. Then we dump them off on the streets with their victims. The majority of us out on the streets are out there because of domestic violence or sexual assaults or financial exploitation. That's what all of these different places around here are doing. Financial exploitation. They know I don't have the money to take them to court, so they don't have to do their job. And that's as easy as it is for them. So where does Briana Hernandez Cordona come into all this? That's the young woman I lost my virginity to. But she wasn't 15. She was 19 when I lost my virginity to her, and I was 33. You go, man, that's messed up. That's messed up. No, it's not. She'd been stalking me for years. She got headbutted by Stephen McMillian because she was stalking me and wouldn't leave me alone. One morning I woke up. There's the courthouse lawn on the Pearl Street Mall, and it's not for a courthouse anymore. It's just a records building. And I'm sleeping on the mall. You know, I'm sleeping right there on the courthouse. There's a miner over off to one side on top of a rock. It's a statue of a miner, you know, like gold mining. And then on the other side, there's a rock that's got like a little plaque on it. Well, I was sleeping over by the rock with the little plaque on it. And I wake up and there's this 16-year-old girl laying on top of me. Not like mounted up like she's trying to simulate sex or anything. But you got to imagine what this does to me mentally. All right, here I am. I'm in public. I'm in a public mall, an outdoor mall on a sunny day. Hundreds of people walking by. And I wake up. I'm like 20, 29, maybe 30. And I got a 16-year-old girl laying on top of me. Now, albeit, she had her head on my chest and her arm across me. It's not like she had her legs over me or anything like that. But still, it was not appropriate. She did not ask my permission before coming and laying down on top of me, before wrapping her arms around me. And I had a lot of people saying, hey, man, where's your stalker? Where's your stalker? Like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck makes you think that I'm running around trying to figure out where Briana Hernandez Cordona is? I spent my time between when she was first coming up and when she became a grown-ass adult. I spent my time trying to convince her and her little sister JoJo to leave. Not Joanna Taylor Smith. That's a different JoJo. Now, she was 19, and there was a couple of occasions with Janine Barrett's son where, well, Briana Hernandez Cordona wouldn't leave me alone. People were asking her to leave me alone, telling her to leave me alone. They were making jokes at me all the time, like, man, you know, you're just too nice to them little girls. Are you fucking kidding me? The more I tell her to go away, the more she shows up. I mean, that's some creepy ass shit there. I literally yelled and cursed at her when she was 17. Loud. Like, hey, you need to leave me alone. I am a grown ass adult. Legally, you are still a child. The fact is, it doesn't matter if I do anything with you or not. People are going to assume. They're going to jump to conclusions. And it's going to be the adult male who is harmed. You need to knock your shit off. God damn it, Bree. Knock your shit off. Then she turned 18, and I didn't see her after she turned 18. And she wanted me to go to her high school graduation, and she did invite me. And I did plan on going, mostly because her mom talked to me about it. All right, holy shit, if this is such a big thing, then yeah, I'll try to go. She was wanting to tell me about her yellow sundress and how she had a yellow sundress, how she was going to have a yellow sundress when she graduated. Well, I didn't go to her graduation. She didn't bother to let me know when exactly it was, and so I didn't go. Then she treated me like shit because I didn't go. I'm like, fuck. I didn't want nothing to do with you. I don't know why it is that you're trying to pressure me to go to this, and I don't know why it is that your mom is pushing it on me that this is such an important thing for you. Why didn't you tell me when you graduated? I found out after you graduated when you come up and treated me like shit for not showing up to your graduation. So, Derek Parrish, on more than one occasion when she was underage and he was underage, they went and did stuff together. Like, hey, dude, I'm not going to mess around with some little girl. I need some sort of distraction, somebody to pay attention, somebody to do something. This is driving me nuts. Now, later on, Janine Barrett, when Briana Hernandez Cordona came back when she was 19 and started in again. And the whole, I'm an adult now, I'm an adult now. Hey, Sean, I'm an adult now, I'm an adult now, I'm an adult now. All right, legally you're an adult. Okay, we get that. But Janine Barrett, she said, you know, if you just fuck her, she'll probably go away. You know, that's the funny thing about how girls work, is that if you tell her that you're not interested, then she wants you to be interested. And I'm like, Janine, I've never had sex with a woman, and I'm not interested in having sex. All right? All that does is boil people's brains. But she convinced me that it was the right thing to do. And of course, yes, I did it. I had sex with Briana Hernandez Cordona when she was 19. It only happened once. All right. It was done and over with, and Janine was right. Once she'd had her conquest, Briana Hernandez Cordona moved on. But she kept on coming back to my life, revisiting my life, coming back to see me, and the majority of it was over her religion because she became a Jehovah's Witness. I told her that I would sit down and listen to her and her male friend, because as a Jehovah's Witness, you're supposed to follow these rules, these gender rules. The males are supposed to talk to males and the females are supposed to talk to females. But the majority of the people who have showed up at my door that are Jehovah's Witnesses are women. The majority of people who showed up at my door that were men preaching about the Jesus were Mormons. Gender roles for different denominations, right? Different belief systems. Now, who's my third stalker? We're talking exclusively about the three women who thought they were in love with me enough to try to twist and manipulate and burden me greatly. And to be selfish about it, and to not understand the great burden that they had placed upon me. I don't owe it to people to take their abuse, but I end up taking that abuse nonetheless, don't I? Sounds like my speaker's wanting to be a pain. So let's talk about Natalie Bollinger. I didn't know Natalie Bollinger was one of my stalkers. I was told later on that there was a. She wrote about me in her dictionary or in her diary. Well, she thought she was in love with me, going all the way back to when she was like 13 or 14, when I was trying to run her off. Same as when I was trying to run off Briana Hernandez Cordona. It's not that I wanted them to have a crush on me. It's that I did the right thing by trying to run them off, trying to run them away from the... Well, with Natalie, she didn't have much choice, did she? She had to sell them drugs for her dad. So even though I told her to go home and to stay away from there, she had to make her money. She had to make her dad's money. But I didn't know that Natalie had been stalking me. I didn't know that she had this big major crush on me. You know, I found that out. I hurt my back in 2018 on my birthday. Sorry, 2015 on my birthday. And when I hurt my back, I found out who my friends were. Nobody. Nobody was my friend. They were all just pretty words and empty promises. I'll do this and I'll do that. You got to pay me this and pay me that. Hey, Sean, I can teach you how to do that, but I don't have the time. Hey, if you paid me, maybe I'd have the time. So I pay them. They still don't have the time. They just took my money and told me to do it. Like when I tried to learn Spanish, I paid a guy almost $2,000 to teach me to speak Spanish altogether. Well, it wasn't just one guy. That $2,000 was spread out of I want to say about 8 to 10 different people altogether. We're gonna teach me Spanish if I gave them money. And I gave them money, and instead of teaching me to speak Spanish or speaking Spanish with me, they tell me to download some app. Why the fuck would I pay you $200 to tell me to download an app? Why wouldn't I just download the app? There's also a lot of people that seem to think that I got a unlimited amount of money, unlimited amount of funds, and that I have support that I don't actually have. I want you to look at my support. I want you to look at their words. A lot of you throw words that people told me in my face, but their actions showed differently. Their actions showed that their words were bullshit. So which should I believe, the words or the actions? My words do meet my actions. When I'm being a hypocrite, I know I'm being a hypocrite. There's a point to it. If it's only wrong for me, then it's not wrong. If anybody else can do it, then it's not wrong. If hundreds of people are allowed to threaten my life, and people are allowed to harm me, and have me illegally and immorally incarcerated for trying to turn them in, what kind of world are we living in? Now, Natalie Bollinger, all of her decisions from the moment she came in to my life in 2016, her decisions were very heavily based on my decisions and should not have been. She wasn't going to stay in Colorado, didn't want to stay in Colorado, but she was only staying there because I was there. Now, when I left to go try to heal up because my back was fucked and I was living under Pigeon Ship Bridge over by the Boulder Public Library, I told her I'd be gone for 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks. But then David and Laura Nelson were afraid that I would... Well, they sold me a car so that I would have a car, but they were afraid that I would leave without it being paid off, so I had to stay there until it was paid off. I had to get a job in order to pay that off, and I did get that job. I worked at Subway in Julesburg, Colorado, while staying in Chapel, Nebraska. When I had my vehicle paid off, by that time it was already too late. Natalie had told me that she wasn't... Well, they were going to come and see me, right? They were going to come and see me on their way to Virginia, Natalie and Alicia. But then Natalie's car got took. She was driving a what was it? It's a British vehicle that's similar to a Jeep. Land Rover. Anyway, they took her vehicle. So then she's like, well, I'm not getting, we have to take an airplane, but I'm not getting on the airplane unless you come see me before I go. So I coordinated with Natalie and Alicia and Maddie to try to go see him on the day and time appointed, and all of their phones were off. Well, I paid a lot of money in order to go down there and see them because I actually genuinely cared about Natalie. It wasn't just throwing money in her face. Hey, here's $100. I hope everything gets better. What are the instructions for me as an at-risk adult? By the way, Natalie was an at-risk adult too. The instructions are to go to friends and family. There's a lot of instructions on that, aren't there? We should probably pull that out, shouldn't we? I'm going to go park over here now that I know everything is charged up a little bit. But the thing is that Natalie was at risk for the same reason as me. It's because she was abused to the point that she wanted her life to end. And that's horrible. Now, Natalie Bollinger, that's annoying the shit out of me, by the way. Natalie Bollinger was embarrassed. And she was embarrassed about the heroin thing with her parents, with her mom in specific. She was embarrassed because my vehicle broke down outside of her house. But here's the thing. I made the effort to do as she asked. When she wanted me to sit tight, I did the best that I could, but I had to leave and try to repair myself. I went to Chapel, Nebraska to try to do that because cops were incessant. I was gone longer than 2 weeks. Natalie had to get away from those druggies in her life, people like Tim Beeson and Matty Boa, and a lot of other people. People who I was friends with because they were homeless, not because they were good people. And that's what a lot of these people didn't expect. They thought that I was some idiot who they could pull the wool over my eyes. No, I knew what the fuck was going on. I just don't want you fucking freezing to death because it makes it bad for all of us. I don't want you getting stabbed to death because the cops and the public will, that piece right there where you did something wrong will be used to harm all of us. It affects public opinion. And with the media and the cops trying to push this opinion crap, we've got the Department of Justice, right? And one of their papers says that 43% of the time men are the stalkers and 37% of the time females are the stalkers. But then we get to see all of the studies done by universities, major universities, that show that the arrest record is only bias. All arrest records show is the history of bias by law enforcement. You can also see that the more illegal it becomes to shoot black people or to shoot minorities, the more homeless people are shot. Meanwhile, between 2019 and 2022, the percentage of the population that are shot by police that are black rose from 22% to 24%. The percentage of those killed by police that were homeless rose from 49% to 60%. Meanwhile, black people have a population size of over 60 million in the United States. Homeless people have a population size of less than 600,000. Unless you consider the 4.5 million people incarcerated in the United States that were homeless when arrested. Or homeless when shot. Natalie Bollinger came into my life when she was young. And I tried to run her off, same as I did with Briana Hernandez Cordona. because they didn't have real father figures in their lives. That's what it related to them. That I must love them because I'm looking out for them. That because I am a caring and genuine person, that I must be in love with them, or that they must be destined to be with me, or some crazy shit like that. After reading the stuff between myself and Natalie Bollinger, there was a woman, her name is Mandy Singer. One of the posts that Natalie's mom wanted to get on after Natalie disappeared and try to call me a stalker and be just an outright mean person. I wasn't mean to her. I was nice. I got a hold of her once before Natalie died. I didn't know if it was Natalie's mom or not, but I needed help stopping the abuse. All I got out of that woman was nastiness. She stalked me, and a lot of her friends and family stalked me. And because I'm a male, nobody fucking cared. They tell me to just ignore it. Just pretend it's not happening. You want me to ignore literally hundreds of threats against my life. Probably close to 100 assaults over this situation. Many of them by law enforcement. All because I have to go in alone. Because you fucking idiots who have families don't understand what it's like for those without. And those of you with shitty families are too fucking cowardly to speak up for anybody else. Which is why all you ever do is complain that nobody helps you. Nobody helps you. You don't fucking deserve help. You don't deserve help. When it happened to your neighbor, what did you do? You looked the other way. When one of your friends or family members says, hey, that's fucked up, this is happening to our neighbor, you tell them, hey, mind your own business. Mind your own business. But then when it happens to you, it's a different story, isn't it? You're not telling people to mind their business unless they disagree. And all of this, I'm the only one who has made any effort to show the truth. The whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But I have to do so alone because my friends are internet nut jobs. I have literally hundreds of stalkers over Natalie Bollinger stalking me. When she came into my life when she turned 18. She came into my life. She walked into the Starbucks that I was at every day. I was at that Starbucks. Everyone knew it. They knew it so much that they called me Starbucks Sean. And Natalie Bollinger, who was supposed to meet with Maddie Boa on the courthouse lawn, missed Maddie Boa by over 2.5 hours. Maddie Boa got sick of waiting and came over to the Starbucks to see me, as she did often, to come complain at me that somebody stood her up again, or that her dad fucking beat on her, any number of things. The day that Natalie Marie Bollinger came into my life as an adult, after I had run her and her sister off for being in sleeping bags with Arturo and Emery, both of whom were definitely grown-ass adults. They were 14 when that happened. They were 18 when they came back into my life. Natalie and her twin sister Alicia both. Maddie Boa wasn't allowed to hang out with me, but in Starbucks, I couldn't exactly kick her out. The Starbucks employees would say, well, as long as they're paying customers. Also, this is supposed to be a safe place, so if those kids come in here and they want to sit next to you and tell you about their problems, obviously those kids feel safe with you. So, yeah, I understand why you're running them off anywhere else, but understand that here in Starbucks we have a safe place policy, and it protects you too, Sean. And despite my objections, because there is a safety issue with them kids coming in and sitting next to me and yakking at me about all their problems, telling me about their daddy raping them, their brother raping them, their sister raping them. I try going to the cops, but I'm homeless. Who's going to fucking listen to a homeless person, especially a homeless male? Natalie Bollinger thought she was in love with me. Briana Hernandez Cordona thought she was in love with me. Kristin Keppler thought she was in love with me. When Kristin Keppler went psycho, I had to live in the same town as her. Luckily, she lived out in the country, but we still went to school together. Did her and I end up having a bunch of problems? No. She stayed away from me. I stayed away from her. No problem. Briana Hernandez Cordona. After she finally got her chance, she wasn't happy with my penis size, apparently. Oh well. I didn't want to feed you my dick anyway. I didn't want to get all snotted up on any part of my body with any of your slime. And I sure as shit didn't want to be sharing my slime with you. But Janine Barrett, she's actually pretty intelligent, especially when it comes to the psychology of women. If she hadn't told me how to get rid of Bree might still think she's in love with me to this day. Now, of course, that post that I was mentioning that Natalie Bollinger's mom got on, she got on to 3 of them. One of them about Natalie missing, one of them about Mandy Singer's son missing, and one of them about Shauna Sinclair's daughter going missing. The one where I was just asking for prayers was actually the one about Shauna Sinclair's daughter, because Shauna Sinclair knew who took her daughter. But is that necessarily true? I don't know. What I do know is that was right before Natalie was killed. I was posting up about how I needed an advocate, and I was trying to get a GoFundMe started, and she's one of the people that I went to. And yes, the evidence is on my YouTube and on my Facebook. It's not that I didn't try to get help, it's that people always had something else going on. No matter what, there's always some excuse why they can't. Maybe it's true, maybe it ain't, but it sure as hell isn't what the cops said. The cops said I didn't try to get help. The reality is nobody would help me because I have a penis. Nobody would help because they all know the bias. Many of these people have spoken up about knowing the bias, about being aware of it, about seeing it every day. With Kristin Keppler, I was able to walk away from her. And although there was some residual bullshit, it wasn't much. It was very minimal. After I had sex with Briana Hernandez Cordona, after she'd been stalking me for at least 5 years, 4 years, when I finally gave her what she wanted, she realized that I wasn't all that she had hoped for, and she was done with me. Well, except to try to push her religion on me. So that was easy to walk away from. Matter of fact, in 4 years of trying to get her to leave me alone, what actually worked? Giving her what she wanted. As soon as she had what she wanted, she moved on to something else. It was a matter of conquest. Once I had sex with her, I didn't have to worry anymore about her at all. I was able to walk away from the situation and not have a whole bunch of residual effects. They were very, very minimal. The same as they were with Kristin Keppler. Yes, everybody in chapel knew Kristin Keppler had a big old crush on me. Yes, they were aware she had a shrine to me in her fucking locker, and that her purse had all those articles in it and pictures of me in her see-through plastic purse. With Briana Hernandez Cordona, people called her my stalker. Hey, Sean, have you seen your stalker today? Or, hey, Sean, I saw your stalker today. Well, that was about it. With Natalie Bollinger, it wasn't like that. With Natalie Bollinger, her and her sister were fighting over a boy. Mandy Singer seemed to think that I was the boy they were fighting over, and she's not the first person to say that. Now, I've had 4 people read through the messages with me and Natalie, and they all say the same thing. Dude, she was in love with you. Are you fucking stupid? Are you seriously that dense, Sean? How did you not know this little girl was in love with you? Well, she wasn't typing that stuff to me or telling that stuff to me until after she was an adult. I didn't know that stuff when she was younger because I tried to avoid her. I didn't know shit about Natalie Bollinger's personal life except that she cut on herself, and the obvious thing is that states to anybody who is fucking trained, or anyone who has grown up in the system, or anyone who has been raped or molested long term and been neglected by their trusted adult. By the time I met Natalie Bollinger when she was 13 or 14, she was already carved up one side and down the other. She had already been enduring years of physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. Then, of course, you got people like Maddie Boa, who like to use sexual assault as a tool to have men harmed. Here's the thing, Maddie Boa didn't go running around saying that Sean Schwartz raped Maddie Boa or molested Maddie Boa. She ran around telling people that I raped and molested 2 little girls in Virginia. 2 little girls in Virginia. And that is not the case. Natalie Bollinger's decisions were too heavily dependent upon mine. When she came back into my life when she was an adult, she told me she was going to kill herself 100 times. But thinking of me is the reason that she didn't. What did I ever do for her to do that to me? All I ever did was try to run her off. Why do you have crushes on people who try to run you off? Why is it that man's attention becomes more important than even your own family? That's right, Kristin Keppler would not listen to her own family in that situation. Her little sister was coming up to me and saying, Sean, if there's a way that you could help the family out here, that would sure be nice. Same thing with JoJo. That's Briana Hernandez Cordona's little sister. Hey, Sean, if there's something you could do to help out the family in this situation, that would sure be nice. I don't know how to make your sister not have a crush on me. I don't know how to do that. I've yelled at your sister. Mobley has headbutted your sister. With Natalie Bollinger, it wasn't the same, though, was it? Kristin Keppler wasn't strung out on fucking drugs. Briana Hernandez Cordona, except for the 6 months where she was telling me nearly every single day that she was tripping on mushrooms, she was mostly sober too. Matter of fact, the night that I lost my virginity to her, later on she told me she was tripping on mushrooms. Fuck. No, I didn't want to have sex with somebody who was tripping on mushrooms. And then she started dating a guy named Danny Dragon. He also goes by Danny Mac. It's just insanity. Natalie didn't do this alone. She had a lot of help. Just like when you see a girl who's cutting on herself, that's a 2-part system. She's not cutting on herself because daddy raped her. She's cutting on herself because she went to her mom about it. Her mom blew her off. Her mom neglected her duties as a mother. The same thing that Harley Richmond did. Neglect her duties as a mother. And then use her children as an excuse. Rose M. Kelly neglected her duties as a mother. This is Natalie Bollinger's mom. Neglected her duties as a mother because penis was more important, drugs were more important, alcohol was more important. Same thing with Danica Garner and Rochelle Shelley Campbell. Tim, the bitch boy Beeson, big druggie himself and distributor, likes to call people up and threaten to kill them and their families, likes to stalk people on their Facebook. Every time that I contacted Natalie Bollinger, it was after a severely traumatic event. An event where I was being harmed, had reached out for help, had reached out to people for assistance in stopping this abuse. Let's go back to 2017, June and July. June 29th, I tried to talk to Missy Bruce about the situation for a fourth or fifth time. Brenda Dickinson kept on telling me, go to Missy, go to Missy. She works with Region 2, she'll know what to do. But Missy didn't have time, and when she finally made time, it was while she was painting a room and getting drunk. And although I was trying to explain to her what was going on with Tamara, how Tamara had quit her job, but how we needed to get the developmental disability paperwork done so that I could turn in my predators. But I didn't get that far because Missy was fucking drunk. She was drunk. And this is after let's see, October to November. November is when I really started trying to get help because it was obvious that this shit wasn't going to stop. So we'll go from November of 2017. Wait, hold on a second. Sorry, November of 2016 to November of 2017. That's an entire year right there of me trying to get help. Now by July, that was November to December, December to January, to February, to March, to April, to May, to June. That's 6 months of going through hell. 6 months of being socially isolated. 6 months of not being able to see my friends or family without being threatened, harassed, or fucking assaulted. 6 months of going to Brenda Dickinson. 6 months of going to meeting after meeting after meeting for these caseworkers who are supposed to help me, like Tamara from Region 1. Anyway, with the people from Region 1 not doing anything useful to help me, and I'm spending all of my money to go to these fucking meetings. One a week. I gotta go to a meeting every week with this therapy place to try to get help because I'm being abused. They're not helping me. Why are people who are at-risk adults sent to mental health when they're abused? That's where cops send us, is to mental health. They don't do their jobs. They don't try to investigate. Nobody fucking cares. Now, all the stalkers that I have had since Natalie are people who came to me because of these Natalie Bollinger groups. And some of them, like Michaela Hellbacher or something like that, she was a large woman. She was watching my channel, and I was talking about how I'm attracted to fat women. Next thing I know, she's sending me a friend request, promising me she's going to help me, and then ignoring me, except when she wants to talk about how lonely she is and post up a bunch about how she wants a baby. What she wanted was a baby. Now, I could consider Michaela a stalker because of that, because she wasn't interested in helping me. She was lonely, she's living in her parents' house, and she wants somebody to help take care of her. And, of course, she's got baby fever, so she wants somebody to put a baby in her. Sorry, but my name's not Joffrey. Mother says I'm to put a baby in you. Fucking creepers. Now, when it comes to female stalkers, According to actual studies done by major universities, women are 11 times more likely to engage in stalker activities. They're also far more likely to get other people involved in those stalker activities. Gaslighting, that's primarily a female trait. Men, well, we try to get things done the legal route, but we're not allowed to. The only way we're allowed to deal with anything is with violence. If we are being harmed, we have to be afraid to go to the police. If your wife beats on you more than once a week, yeah, you're better off getting a firearm and moving. But you can't do that because she'll take you for everything you've got. You can't leave your wife if she beats on you. She'll take half of everything that you fucking own, if not more. And probably pretend that you're some sort of psycho stalker or rapist or beat on her in order to get sympathy. Gross. A woman who is strung out on methamphetamines can often get her child by pretending that the father might do something. Natalie Bollinger and her friends did stalk me, did harm me, and got away with it by pretending that I might. And police officers wanted to hate me from the start, assume my guilt from the start, and do everything that they could to help Natalie and her friends and family, who are my predators, not the other way around, to get away with it. I must be guilty because I'm homeless. I must be guilty because I'm broke. I must be guilty because I'm ugly. How many people have used the excuse of Natalie was so pretty? Natalie was so pretty. You superficial fucks. That is just as horrible as the pieces of shit who say, you look like a pedophile. You look like a rapist. You get to see how people like Michelle Yoko Stewart played retarded about knowing how to speak up. A lot of people played retarded about knowing how to speak up. But then when I spoke up about them playing retarded, they wanted to play victim, didn't they? And they showed in playing victim, they knew exactly what to do. If I had been a woman, that's what they would have done. But I'm not a woman, so I'm told I have to do it myself. I just need to man up. You sexist pieces of shit. Women are more likely to stalk men than the other way around. Men are more likely to be convicted. Why? Because there are 100 services. 100 services for women in every state, easily, that men will never have access to. If they go into those services for domestic violence, it is likely that they're going to get a man-hater who is going to be assigned to their case. A female who got that job specifically because of a female that she knows who was beaten or she was beaten, and she holds a bias against men. We have so many services specifically just for women. In Boulder County alone, 15 services for women for every one co-ed service. There are no men's only services. None. These men's only places, no, those are felons only places. And they have female felons only places too. For every male halfway house, for every 4 male halfway houses, there's only 1 female halfway house. And why is that? Because women are less likely to be convicted, less likely to be arrested, more likely to be heard, more likely to get leniency or just a slap on the wrist. Whereas men are incarcerated until everything that they have is taken from them, and then they're treated like they're bad parents or bad people because they were incarcerated. Their guilt is assumed from the start. And they're public pretenders. None of these people are actually going to stand up for us because of the bias and hatred towards men. Anybody who sticks up for a male victim, all a female has to do is play victim, and anybody who would have helped that male make excuses. Look at Caitlin Tatum. Fuck all of you. When you tell me that the things that my predators are doing is not against the law, but then it's magically against the law if I only threaten to do such a thing back. We've got major issues, and it's time to collect firearms and distribute them to homeless males in specific. We need guns. I'm not willing to carry one. I'd rather die than kill another person. You know how we end these things. Good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's, and no victim left behind.